The other European league with mass appeal is the English Premier League. The rise of the English game is remarkable, given that the Italians were considered to have the best domestic league for the most of the 80s and the 90s. The founders of the English Premier League could not have expected it to be where it is today after it was started in 1992. From the mid-80s, most First Division teams in England were banned by UEFA from European football, after a perfect storm of hooliganism and stadium mismanagement resulted in the death of 39 people and hundreds of injuries during a match between Liverpool and Juventus. After the ban was lifted, stadium infrastructure upgrades were a necessity. English clubs were desperate to make up for the years of lost revenue, and a dispute between the Football League over television rights would persist until a stalemate in negotiations was reached. The top-tier clubs withdrew from the First Division to start the Premier League in 1992 after failing to reach an agreement. This allowed them to develop their own revenue model and restore their clubs to financial health with urgency. Other leagues began to notice what the English were up to, and Spain in particular began to commit more financial resources to its clubs. At the turn of the century, the Premier League was the #1 watch league globally.
Drama from day one. This is the league we want to watch. Here is what.
With less than 10 years of competition history.
And the Barclays Premier League has produced here the ultimate in sporting drama. It just does not get better than this.
After its launch in 1992, it would be Manchester United that would be crowned champions, the first of many to come for the club. Paul Ince and Dion Dublin would be the first players for this collection. Of the two, Paul was on the starting team, while Dion would come off the bench for the inaugural season. Paul began nurturing his football appetite early, growing up in London where he was scouted and signed by his boyhood team, West Ham United. He would stay there and rise through the club's academy to join the senior team at the start of the 1986-1987 season, to the end of the disastrous 1988-1999 season when they were relegated. By the time Paul had played well enough to ignite a transfer move to Manchester United the following season, where he would win the FA Cup before being joined at the start of the first Premier League season by Dion Dublin. Paul would win another league title and the FA Cup with United, before leaving for fairly short-lived stints with various clubs. His playing days would come to an end with him becoming manager for the club he was playing for at Macclesfield Town.
I was a bit nervous the first couple of days because it's like going back to school again, first managerial job. But I understand the task ahead, and it's a challenge. I've never shirked a challenge in my life. I never will do, and hopefully at the end of the season we'll all be smiling. I've worked under some great managers, Ferguson, Hoddle, Steve Venables, people like that. But you got to have your own identity. You have to be your own manager, your own person, and as time goes on, I'll begin to understand and see what kind of manager I'm going to be.
He would then make history again by becoming the Premier League's first homegrown black manager. It's also worth noting that Paul was the first black captain for the national team. Having grown up in the area, Dion was part of Leicester's youth program, but failed to make an impression to stay past the age of 18. Undeterred, his father continued to pursue clubs to sign him. His efforts would find Dion at Norwich, some 3 hours away from his home in Leicester. Initially, his abilities were managed with uncertainty. Standing over 6 feet tall, he was viewed as the ideal defender when he started his professional career at Norwich. He continued to struggle to break through into the starting lineup and was given a free transfer to Cambridge, where he moved to the striker's position. Dion excelled in this role and got noticed as he won the 3rd division with the club. After a bidding war with other clubs, United's Alex Ferguson would sign him at the start of the newly formed Premier League season.
Dion, Dublin, one of the most polite and patient players you could wish to meet, will replace McClare. It's his first start in a league game this season. And the former Cambridge man who broke his leg soon after coming here is now going to have to play the role of saviour, really, if he can. Going in again, he's got gigs outside him here. Kanchelskis! Oh, Justin Dublin! Fantastic contribution by the substitute, and he just come on.
Injury dampened his debut season and he would fail to unseat the likes of Cantona before leaving the club on a transfer to Coventry some 2 seasons later. Away from United, Dion would hold the starting lineup for the better part of his career and win the Premier League's Golden Boot for the 1997-1998 season, controversially missing out on selection for the World Cup squad. After 20 years of playing, he retired after the 2007-2008 season and can now be seen on various networks as a television presenter.